right, Mr. Wilson.
Hey,
We had a busy day yesterday, and yours started off pretty early with a phone call with a Zoom meeting.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that and what we'll cover over the next 30, 45 minutes.
So we had I had a Zoom call with Gary Keller, actually, along with a bunch of other top agents within the company, and it was some very intriguing information that was being disseminated back and forth.
Or for my mom and your dad, who is Gary Keller?
He's actually the owner of Keller Williams, which is the largest real estate company here in the world, isn't it?
Yep. So a guy that might have a couple things to say about real estate.
That's right, and does a lot of forecasting sometimes and whatnot, but learning based. Let's just say that.
Yep. So who was on the call? What was kind of the call about?
The call's designed for the top 100 agents within the entire organization, obviously. So therefore, the call it ranged from a variety of topics, but primarily where we at, what's going on, where are we heading, what do we do, how do we bulletproof all of this stuff, or do you need a bulletproof? Just basically what's going on, not only in our industry, but economically, how to get right in the mindset of things, and how to go forward with that.
Yep. So let's dive in.
Sure. I've got a whole laundry list, and we're not going to hit all this.
Yeah.
However, there's some topics that I definitely want to kind of pinpoint on to give, I'm going to say, even our spin on it, or how it's interpreted to us as well, because ultimately we can take information in, and how we disseminate it out can be kind of taken many different ways. And I just want to kind of give what the experiences that we've been having, and ultimately let's just have a discussion on that. I think that's what's going to be key here.
Absolutely. So one of the stats that he had put out there that is pretty intriguing to me is, Aaron, prior to all of this, and you're a big stats guy, the average, how many months of inventory we have to be a balanced market. What was the standard?
Statistically, you're looking at anywhere between 5 to 7 months of inventory, meaning basically an absorption rate. So if all of the homes in your entire area are sold off and no new homes came on the market, it would take a certain amount of months for the inventory to kind of deplete itself. That being said, you're looking at balanced market is typically anywhere between 5 and 7 months. However, that's the conversation that it was kind of touched on in a very little way, and we didn't dig deep into that, or at least I didn't dig deep into that. And what I kind of took away from that is it may be shifting to a new norm of, anywhere between 3 and 4 months of inventory. Might be kind of looking at the new norm right now. And we've been experiencing, goodness, across all the locations that we're in right now, anywhere between 1.6 months of inventory, which is an extreme seller's market.
Absolutely.
To anywhere between 3 months of inventory, which is still by record a seller's market. So it's just an extreme seller's market. And then that's what we talked about too, is it was interesting because on the sidebar, there's a chat box, obviously, in Zoom, for those of you that know. And there was conversation going on there with what's going on in these different markets across the nation. And almost everybody, inventory is dropping, meaning listings are not, coming on the market. However, homes are selling, and at multiple, offers coming in, prices going up. One of the individuals had stated that there was a 10% increase in value in Boston,
Yeah.
So you're looking at this going, okay, what does that mean? All markets are local. I get it. However, we're experiencing that as well, because we literally just closed out the books this morning or midnight last night. We had the best month that we've ever had in terms of contracts written and accepted.
Yeah. And so what I hear you saying is that, and this is not us trying to give a different spin on the market than what is actually happening. This is real. What we're experiencing in 8 different locations across the country, day in, day out, is there is still a great amount of business that's happening.
There's a lot of activity right now. That's what we've experienced. And I was just literally hallway conversations, keeping distance, obviously, but hallway conversation with one of the other top agents here in the market center. He's like, dude, I've just been so busy in the car, taking this call, taking that call.
Yep.
So my bottom line, all I'll say is activity is there.
Yep. For those that are doing the right activities.
Exactly. And then we can get into that portion of how we're doing business now, which is totally different than what it was before.
Yeah, we used to say this. I remember us talking about this time last year. And it's a very blunt comment, but if last year you couldn't sell homes, and up until maybe February of this year, if you couldn't sell homes, you should probably think about a different industry because um, everybody,
You got
not everybody, but
to double down.
yeah, now is different. You really got to focus and be intentional about your time, your day, and running your business.
I'll piggyback off of that because I think, you know what? They may not need to get out of the business because that business model may have changed to now fit them. Because that was one of the things, the topics that he discussed was, hey, we're moving, bottom line right now, the way we did business in February, that was the good old days.
Yeah.
Do business. Meaning that we're digitally based right now and physically enhanced. And I just remember ... get over it. Because in our industry, we love being face-to-face, do we not? I mean, we know our conversion rates are higher. We know that if we're able to talk to people in a face-to-face format, we can get our point across. We can educate them a lot more clearly, et cetera. However, he's like, you got to get over the fact of that. You can still do that, but that's secondary. You've got to be digitally based first.
Yeah.
And enhance it with that.
We see so many of these shifts, and I think some of the drastic shifts, I don't want to say they're over, but the gap is not as big. Meaning, I can remember back in the day, not too long ago, for my dad, who was, I'm only going to use cash. Mm-hmm. There's no way I'm going to give somebody my credit card over the internet. Versus, now it's the norm. And
nobody wants cash.
Yeah. So why would I ever want to meet somebody via video? I want to meet everybody in person. Well, there's still opportunity for that, but this may become the new norm.
Well, and you mentioned that too, and I think it was one of the things he tailed off with there when you started talking about the way that you're doing business, and also be careful who you follow. I'm gonna read this out. Be careful of who you follow and look up to in times of a crisis. So again, I've been through a recession before, a couple of them in my lifetime, without stating my age. However, that being said, learning in those times to apply what you've learned now is key. And so those individuals that are going through a crisis right now and they're freaking out, my only piece of advice to them is learn from this. You're going to get through it. Trust me. You're going to get through this. Learn from this and apply certain principles. So the next time this happens, because it may not be a COVID crisis, there's going to be a recession later on, you are prepared for it.
It's funny you talk about aligning yourself and taking advice from people that have been through it before. Mm-hmm. I remember talking, and we bring them up all the time, and rightly so, as Anthony Azar talking about real estate in the downturn and owning brokerages, running brokerages, and listening to him talk about having to stroke checks, $20,000 a month out of the savings account to cover expenses, and listening to him talk about me needing to keep my eyes on the P&L and expenses and controlling expenses. And when he is telling me that out of scars, it's because he's lived through it. I'm going to listen to that versus somebody that's never been through it, because it's real for them.
Well, that was what Gary talked about as well. Is he's like, again, be careful who you follow and look up to in times of these crises. Some have never been through one, meaning younger, and those individuals, i.e. rookies, can be very experimental in their solution-based pieces there. So Yes, they can get lucky with the choices that they make there, and then also, they can die on the stake there as well. So they need to be proven first. So big way to check that right now with different businesses is, look at their P&L.
Yeah.
They look great on the outside, but on the inside, they could be literally falling apart.
Yeah. Yeah. The running a lean business and controlling expenses is huge. And we were on a mastermind 2 days ago, I believe,
Yeah.
with one of the top agents in Tucson, and talking about being able to pivot and move fast. Gary talked about that yesterday. That speed is our friend.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to move. The high D I in me on my disc profile loves that statement.
Love it, love it, love it. My foot is slammed on that gas pedal. And of course, we have people in our organization that are literally trying to keep me within the guardrails right now. However, you're right.
You and I operate in this manner of, it's like that movie Speed from the 90s. The brake doesn't work anymore. Can't use it. You got to maintain. It's how do you pivot and shift going 100 miles an hour.
And anybody that understands the disc profile, if you're an SC, you are freaking out with what we're talking about.
Yeah,
right
give me more time. I got to come up with I need time to process. And but explain to a little bit, Aaron, about Gary talking about speed to action and being liquid enough to transition quickly.
That was, let me see if I can get back to that. That speed to action was critical because the thing is, and I'll go back to even the Shift book. There's a book called Shift, Shifting Market, whatever it may be. That was the first thing that we did as well. Implemented that concept right off the bat. That was the thing on the mastermind the other day too, is a shift. The first thing that we looked at is expenses right off the bat. How do you cut expenses today, right now? Fixed rate expenses, variable expenses, etc. And that's literally kind of what he talked about too, is we're kind of past that state right now. Being able to cut, you should have already cut your expenses. Two is kind of creating liquid assets right now. And the reason to do that, what I took away from it is within the next 6 months or so, there's probably going to be a great opportunity to help people out. And what I mean by that, that's a different way of saying, help somebody out with their business, because they may be fine right now, but in 6 months, they don't have the type of traffic that they had before.
Yep.
And in order to stay open, in order to continue that business, they're going to be looking for capital. They're going to be looking for money. They're going to be looking for those things. So selling off certain items that may have reached their max capacity in order to reinvest it into something differently, i.e. different businesses. That was a big topic, and how do you do that within real estate? Yes, there's 1031 exchange concepts that are out there as well. But bottom line is he was talking about being liquid right now in order to capitalize on opportunity that may be coming up here in the future.
Yep. So when I say this statement, Aaron, what was the total percentage that we cut out of our
37%. So I want to talk about that.
So when I hear that, and I'm playing devil's advocate, and I say, Aaron, you cut out 37% of your P&L in one day. Why didn't you do that 2 months ago? Why have you been spending 37% of your budget that you obviously didn't need to, because you just finished the best month ever for pending contracts at 30% less than you were spending every other month? Why didn't you just do that before?
You know what? That's a very good question. I think that was the first question that I had in my mind. Man, why didn't I do this before? Because it goes straight to bottom line. In other words, you're protecting the business, you're making it healthier, et cetera. But the reason being is because you're not in the same mindset. During that time frame, and he talked about that as well, you're in a growth mindset. And right now we're not in a growth mindset. Right now you're literally, you're in that mindset of basically going back and understanding the vitals of your business. And he used what was it? Let me get there. The emergency room analogy. So no one right now in an emergency room should be worried about their body mass index. Now here's the deal. When you're in a growth mindset, those are the things that you're looking at as well, because the vitals they're automatic. Right now, in order to stay alive, you need to worry about your vitals. So therefore you should be focused on vitals. Now these vitals in our business right now are what? Cash flow, reserves, revenue, listings, conversion rates, accountability, etc. We use these dials in our business just like an airplane. You watch the dials because when it gets foggy, which is what's happening right now, everything's foggy within our industry. Everything's foggy within our, economically, politically, everything is foggy. So therefore, when it gets foggy, what happens? We got to revert to our dials. So that's what we do in our business is we check out these dials. And this was a conversation that he was having with Keith Cunningham, which actually is an author of The Road Less Stupid. Phenomenal book. It's literally the third time that I just picked it up again this morning, listening to it again. And that's where he kind of elaborated on this. And he kind of related it to Kobe Bryant. And I hope I don't butcher this up. Kobe Bryant hit a mountain. The mountain wasn't the fault. That wasn't the problem. The problem was the pilot watching the gauges during the foggy weather. So that's what we're looking at. And right now we have a foggy outlook and we have an inability to read the gauge. If you have an inability to read the gauges in this time in your business, you're probably leading to a crash.
Well, I would say, in addition to that, Aaron, is do you even have gauges to look at?
Exactly.
So, and what I mean by that is, let's go back to your previous life, working on helicopter, couple different airframes, and those guys, right, flying in the Middle East, I'm sure flew a lot of times where there's no visibility in sandstorms.
Well, we call them brownouts. When you
Yep.
get to a certain level, the dust comes up so far to where it's basically blacked out.
Obviously, number one is they wish that they could see.
Yep.
But when they can't, they got to rely upon their instruments even more. So, if my advice, and I know I speak for both of us when I say this, is if you have no instruments to look at right now to gauge the health of your business, don't wait till this is over. Start now.
Well, that's where I say you literally need to link up with some people that do that at a very high level so you can understand how to track that and then go for it.
So we a little bit of a bunny trail. You and I started a coaching platform about 6 weeks ago, maybe.
It was a week right after this stuff kicked off.
Yeah, and it's mainly it's all,
why did you do that?
yeah, it's all individual agents, but we know that and they're a phenomenal bunch of agents, but there's a piece of accountability and being able to measure wins, and where you need improvement, and this is one platform for us to do that. But you got to know your gauges, and your gauges have to be accurate. Your altimeter means absolutely nothing if it's not accurate.
That's right.
Well, it's only off 20 feet. Aaron, what happens if you're doing an auto rotation at 20 and you're off 20 feet?
Yep. Well, you're going to hit the ground pretty hard.
Yep.
And that's and when you correlate this to a real life situation, to a business aspect, it becomes a lot more clear now. This is why we have been doing what we've been doing, tracking these numbers. Every day we track our numbers, and from a standpoint of our contacts, appointments set, appointments held, accepted, contracts written. We track it every day because,
Yep.
and we go right back to why. A GPS is only as accurate as the data that's coming in and the increment that it's coming in as well.
Yeah.
If you had a GPS that reset every hour, how far off are you going to be with trying to get to your target?
Yep.
So we do it daily so we can make those auto corrections in our business or in the agent's business so they can achieve what they want to achieve. If they're way off target, they know that they need to do something different. And that's what we help with.
Yep.
So, yeah.
This was, out of all the notes, this might be one of my favorite. Creating wealth is a slow, methodical process. Losing money can be done very fast.
Oh yeah.
The process needs to be sustainable. You don't want to be rich for a day.
Yep.
And I liken this, it's, look at like credit scores. How easy is it to lose 50 points on your credit score? We could do that tomorrow.
I can do it right now.
But how long does it take to gain 50 points? So
that's a darn good analogy, because all you got to do is not make a payment or two.
Yeah.
And then it's going to take you to get back up. to that point.
Absolutely.
How important is it? That's the other thing.
Yeah. So gaining wealth, it takes, it's a, it's a long term play,
Mhm.
you know, and we're not talking about making some money. We're talking about gaining wealth. I think those are
Yeah.
two different things. Um, yeah, that was one of my things. People, how many of your problems would go away if you had A players? A basketball
You know
team,
what?
five
That
players.
that one struck a chord with me, because I know we have a lot of A players on our team. However, it wasn't the conversation. He used a basketball analogy. If you had 3 A+ ball players on your team, you're going to a championship.
Yeah.
But you're
Well,
not going to do a championship if you only have one.
here's a perfect analogy, and we haven't really even talked about this. Um,
Talk about
we,
any of this. That's
we
the
have
other-
we have less people on team integrity than we did before all this started,
Mhm,
and we're entering into, or we completed the highest amount of accepted contracts we've ever had.
mhm.
Um, so we are doing more with less.
That's right. I think it's because it's purposeful as well. And you know what?
Right, right people in the boat, and not only that. The other thing, Aaron, that's really cool is just within our organization is people are doing well.
Yeah.
You know, this is not in a team our size. You know, we're healthier now than we were a year ago.
Mhm.
You know,
I think there's a lot more clarity around it as well.
absolutely,
You know?
absolutely. Um, Going back to this one, Aaron, talk about this one. Uh, your your business should be digitally based and physically enhanced.
Okay. That was one of the big ahas for me. Again, and we kind of started with that a little bit. We as real estate agents, we want to be in front of people. We know that is important to us. Um, and when I heard him say that, I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. But it was almost like a light switch that turned on for me, going, wow. There's some states like we have Kansas City for like right now. They cannot be in front of people. Period. There is no real estate to be had. They can't. They by law they can't be talking to people about real estate. It's totally different than the different laws that are going on state by state.
Not
So
only that, like a showing, for example, they got to go in, check it out, come outside, and let one person in at a time.
yeah. So that puts a squeeze on the physical side of things right now. Um, and in order to get through this, you've got to have a digital presence. You've got to have that digital communication. If we would have had like, hey guys, let's do a listing via Zoom, i.e., this kind of product, before most people, unless they were in a totally different location, they're like, man, let's just do it physically.
And let me add some clarity around that too. Is having a good digital footprint is not just having a cool website.
Oh no, oh no,
That is,
it's the
um,
communication.
websites 10 years ago were an integral part of your business, as far as like that's where some people would go and look. Um, I'm convinced that you could not have a website right now, and you know, um, and and just be on social media platforms and
Business models have changed.
drastically.
Yeah, and that was another topic that was on there as well. And that's what we look at here. Now, here's the thing: there's some people that are scared to death of all this. There's others that are embracing this and understand that and are extremely excited about it. And those are the individuals that are actually going to. He also mentioned, and this was, and I knew this going in. Obviously, he said there's going to be an exchange of wealth during this time frame than any other time in your lifetime.
Yep.
So a change of wealth right now. Money's going to exchange hands in many different ways right now than ever before. So I want you to think about that. And if that sits in, that means that you need to change, or you're going to be on the opposite side of that, which is not good.
You know, personally, going back to the being digitally enhanced, look at our team. 6 months ago, it was, let me phrase this without getting into IRS trouble. It was highly suggested that you were at the office every single day.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, Is that the case now?
No, no. Matter of fact, the new business model is we know that there's people that are more effective from working from a totally outside location or home or whatever with a digital presence uh, because
But
they've been forced to. They've been forced to. However, we know that they know that now, so we don't require that.
conversely, we have certain agents and staff. Like I'm one of them. Like I work better in the office.
Me too.
Um,
Where I'm at right
Eric, yep, Eric on our team is going to be at the office every day.
now. Mhm. People
That's
that
it. So understanding that there is not a one size fits all anymore, and but our accountability has
there we go.
increased. And
That's
right now, if we were to jump on our team Zoom account, you're going to have hopefully a good majority of our team on Zoom right now, lead generating at their house.
a Zoom room. Yep. So you
Yep.
can go in there,
It's,
and that communication is actually a lot faster now too. So
so
which
to give you an example is in one of our offices in Tucson, there we've got 4 offices in there. It is quicker for an agent to ask us a question uh, across the city via Zoom than it is being in the same office.
correct.
So
Again, streamlining processes. That was a big topic as well yesterday. Streamlining topics have been or topic processes have been forced in order to succeed. And
So that leads us into this one. We don't manage people; we manage expectations.
yeah, that's the one that
We
struck
don't
with
we
me.
don't manage people; we manage expectations. They either hold up to them or not. If they don't, it's them that have to quit. Um, you can't fail; you can only quit.
Yeah, that's we know that different stressors are going to impact people differently. We know
Absolutely.
that. However, there's systems and models that are put in place for a reason. And this is probably a 3-day seminar on this topic. We've talked about this in depth. Accountability is a phenomenal tool to use, and ultimately, when habits are formed, the amount of accountability can go away. The
Correct.
you know, so that there struck a chord with me, making sure that everybody's hitting, i.e., a minimum standard. That minimum standard is whatever your business is going to. I don't want to say enforce, but kind of uh, where the bar lies.
Yeah.
That being said, we know that a lot of our systems right now have got to be utilized. They have to be adhered to. Otherwise, what you're doing is you're going backwards.
Yep.
And those individuals, that's what I say, they're quitting on themselves when they're not doing that, when they're not doing their tasks, when they're going overdue, when they're not doing the things they're supposed to be doing by a system that is proven. That is a sad thing to see. It really is.
And especially a track record when we bring new people into our organization, people go, "What do we have to do to be successful?" The easy response is watch those that are successful and do what they do.
Mhm. However, remember what we talked about there too? They have to watch those that are successful just a little bit above them,
Yeah. So
way up here.
exactly.
Yeah, so different pieces of the puzzle they have to.
You've got to. Uh, it becomes a foreign language when someone that's doing 50 transactions is trying to mimic someone doing 500.
Yep.
Find somebody, if your threshold that you want to break is 100 transactions, find someone that is at 100, 150 transactions. Um, because, and here's an example, Aaron, if I were to say, what do you do um, to break? You're at 75 transactions. What do you got to do to get through 100? Like you're going to give some good ideas, but that was a while ago. That was several years ago. Um, if I were to say, how do you get from 347 to 500? That happened within the last 12 months.
Mhm.
So finding someone that is 1 or 2 levels above you is great. Don't you can't get you can't open up a ladder and get to the top rung without going through the previous 9.
Exactly. You got to take each rung at a time.
Yeah.
Now, it depends on how fast you go up that ladder. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but you got to take each rung. You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Different times call for different effort. What type of effort is needed now?
well, that kind of tied into managing the people. as well. Right now, maybe before your effort may not have been as much as what it needs to be right now, depending on what your lead generation platform was. If your lead generation platform was open houses, all right, your world just turned upside down unless you're doing virtual open houses.
Yep.
You're not physically doing them. So therefore, you've got to go back to your second or third lead generation lever and have that implement in order to succeed.
Yep. The next one I really like, and I've been a believer of this since I was a teenager. Everybody excels at something.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, I've always, and as a teenager, I can remember thinking about this, of going, what am I good at? Like, what's my thing? Everybody has a thing that they are good at. They just got to find it. And they've really got to hone it in.
Well, and he tied into that a little bit as well too, talking about that passion piece. You tied into that passion, and I think there was a top agent that was kind of on the panel with him talking about that as well. You tie it to that passion, and that passion is what the driver is.
Yeah, I used to have this conversation with people back in previous world when I was working at churches and whatnot, and people would go, I'm trying to figure out what I'm gifted at, like what am I supposed to do? And I used to say that it was a combination of three things: is what are you passionate about? What are you good at? And what have others affirmed in you? If you
Mm-hmm.
can find those three things, I think that let's look at you and I for singing. We may love to do it. We may, our moms and dads may tell us that we're good at it. But are we actually skilled in it? So finding those three things, just because we are good at something, is it affirmed? Have other people affirmed that?
Yeah, and it goes back to that very controversial concept of working on your strengths versus your weaknesses. And you look at, and I am not bashing a school system or a structure or what they teach. However, what you focus on too, because here's the thing:
Right.
as a parent, and my kid comes home with a D or an F, and everything else is 5 A's and 1 D or 1 F. What am I focused on?
The F.
I'm focused on the F. And I'm doing whatever I got to do to help them get that grade up. However, I think in our industry, we have the luxury of, that D and F, whatever category that is, I don't want to deal with it. So they don't have to, and they can focus on their strengths, which may be mathematics or whatever it is, whatever topic that is. Now they're doing what they want to do, and they're good at it.
Yep.
And they're getting the result of an A. That's how it's a little bit different in our industry, is you can capitalize on what you're good at. And just now you're
Absolutely.
now you're in an occupation, or you're in a industry that you're doing what you love. And so it doesn't seem like work.
So let's use this analogy in building homes down in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know for me, I would say that I'm a veteran at building homes now down there. There's certain parts of that process that I can do, but I don't enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's maybe other processes that I enjoy doing, but I have no business doing it. John Haas, he may love stuccoing. He should not be doing it, man.
Don't give Juan de la Osa a set of nails either. And
no, if Juan likes to hammer nails, I hate going behind him and pulling him out of the wood.
That's
well, it's not that hard because they don't make it halfway in the wood. But finding what you're good at and what you love doing is good, and then you delegate around that.
Yeah.
You delegate, like putting up chicken wire. I can do it. I hate doing it. There's other people that love doing it.
I got too scared. You know why? Because there was the one individual that was putting in the chicken wire that actually part of the organization down there missing that front tooth.
Yeah, from the bar coming back.
Oh, no, I'm good. I like my little chiclets, dude. So yeah.
Yep. So yeah, it's like I said, it's hiring and recognizing and not being too prideful and saying that you're good at everything or you can do this.
I think I'm gonna dovetail this if you don't mind.
Yep.
Turn this into just one more piece here to get back because I want to get a lot of this stuff. I think we pretty much hit a lot of this stuff, but
Yeah.
one of the important ones to me that kind of came out of this is, and I'm gonna just read this. Recession is another word for exposure. So going through this recession, it actually exposed our businesses here. For business owners, this is a market exposes your actions and your people and different systems in their hearts and what their intent is as well. The economy is likely to get worse before it gets better. That's one of the outlooks. We might get out of this quickly, and we might not. We might hope that this is the case. However, hope is not a strategy.
Yep.
And that was one of them like, interesting. So we have to prepare ourselves for a strategy, or we're going to have to pick up the pieces as they may fall.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So having a plan, that plan has got to, understandably, it may have changed. But I think right now we're in very good shape in the real estate industry. That's what I will say, if you're able to adapt and change.
Yep. We got time for one more. I've got this one on here, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Your goal is to build a machine that can withstand any asteroid. You, your people, and your systems need to be more efficient than ever.
That, you know what? Yes, that was one of the. You're right. That was one of the topics we talked about, and then he also combined that with Cunningham, Keith Cunningham as well, because that right there was talking about there was 3 different areas. Did I write them down? I did not write them down. Oh no, I did. In the type of there's 3 types of audit in a crisis. First, you need to cut expenses. Second is audit your processes, and I think that I relate that as that's where this is at. In addition to the third one, so audit your processes. How do we do what we do so it requires less resources or saves time? And the third one is audit your capacity. I was a little bit foggy on this, so bear with me here. But what I took out of it was you need to find the excess. You need to find that excess, and excess capacity is a killer in a crisis because it builds during normal times when we focus on growth. Going right back to what we talked about before. That's why you can't identify those expenses when you're in that growth mindset.
Yep.
That's what I took out of that. I think
and that is building a bulletproof business that can withstand an asteroid like this.
Mhm.
That's our responsibilities as leaders, right?
Mhm.
One of them is to take care of our people and to skate with our head up, skate towards where the puck is going, not where the puck's at, and keep that situational awareness so that the people in our world don't go without, and to constantly have a head up on what is going on, be constantly aware so that they can continue to focus on their one thing and their top 20%, and we provide leverage to take care of the rest of the 80%.
You said something there that there's a lot of things that are flying in my head right now. You say take care of your people. You're absolutely right. Out of the side of my mouth, though, I'm also going to say that I'm also reading a book about how we can actually, with good intentions, I'm trying to remember the name of the book. It's about coddling of American people.
Okay.
How we can, with intent, with good intent, we can be coddling our people without teaching them, which is doing more harm in the long run.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't even want to get into that topic because we can do that with our children. We only want to help protect and guide them. However, ultimately, we have to look at that balance within our businesses too. But you're absolutely correct. People are the number one asset. The people are going to drive everything. The people, if you take care of the people are going to take care of you.
Yeah, it's likened to you take too many antibiotics. You think you're protecting yourself over and over again, but you're actually weakening your immune system. I get what you're saying there, where you want to take care of your people, right? You 100% do, but you don't want to do it to their detriment.
That's right. And you want them to be able to control what they need to control without having handouts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff.
Great topic, man. Great
lots of
topics.
value, and it definitely
So
appreciate the culture of giving.
I do want to. What are we gonna? I know Kristen Cole.
Yeah,
Just
so we got some stuff that we are brainstorming and working around. We are in business with Kristen, um, and looking at, how do we do something like this and provide a lot more value than just our peanut brains can come up with. Um,
yeah,
and
when you say that you don't want to be the smartest one in the room, I never have that problem whenever I go into any Zoom call because I'm definitely not the smartest one
we're
in
not
there.
the smartest people in the room when we're in a room by ourselves.
I think the two of us together can have one brain. How about that? That's scary.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we were in a we were in the office yesterday, and or 2 days ago, and Jenny was in, and somebody said something, I forgot what it was, and you from the other room said the exact same thing I said at the exact same time, and I look over across at Jenny, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, it
Yes.
happens."
But hey, so what are we looking at possibly doing? Just kind of an insight to that, because here's the
Yeah,
deal.
so we're looking at, and we got a meeting a little bit later today about it too, is uh, doing some type of regular mastermind um,
Opening
slash
up, yeah,
podcast,
opening
but doing it live, so people can ask questions, and then us bringing in some high quality, talented people that are actively in the trenches, practicing what they preach. So we'll have more information on that, and we will post it and share it on this and whatnot. But we're trying to figure out how do we take this to the next level.
that's right.
So
Well, good.
good stuff. All
Good,
right.
good
On
stuff.
that
I
note,
will talk to you soon.
yep. We'll talk to you later.
Later.